With relatively cheap and easy access to equipment, more and more composers are turning to the visual media as a means to supplement and augment their musical compositions. A friend of mine, Neil Anderson Himmelschbach, has for the last several years collaborated with the video artist Dax Norman on a number of different projects. Here's a small sample of one of their most recent projects called Charge. Even from this short clip, we can see a narrative of two factions who seem to at first be at war, yet suddenly end their struggle and start to dance together. And while we can make several musical observations, including quotations from the French national anthem and the Beatles, successfully combining the video into that analysis, other than at a superficial level, is another task entirely. One of the more famous music and video pairings are the Philip Glass and Godfrey Reggio films in the Qatsi trilogy. In these films, which are all based on titles in the Native American Hopi language, the pair describes various ways in which the pairing of human life and technology manifest themselves. For example, Reggio describes the word Nikoi Qatsi, the title of the final film, this way. For the word Nikoi Qatsi, Nikoi means each other kill many, so it's out of our syntax. The additional meanings of Nikoi Qatsi are way of life of killing, war as a way of life, and by commentary, those of us that made the film chose to use the term civilized violence as a contemporary understanding of that term. Today, I will demonstrate how an integrated analysis of a multimedia composition's video and music create a more accurate interpretation of the work's complex interactions between domains. The Glass-Reggio film Nikoi Qatsi is used as an example of how a film, complicated by an ambiguous metaphorical framework, can be made more accessible through this approach. Now, combining the analyses of multiple domains into a singular interpretation is a complex endeavor at best, yet there are several tools available to aid in this method of analysis. The most useful of these is a cross-domain map that allows for the blending of disparate domains into a unified whole. Brought to the analysis of music by Lawrence Zibikowski, these conceptual integration networks allow, for example, a song to be addressed solely by its music, the music domain with no text, and solely by its text, the text domain with no music. The two are united via a generic space that sets up the comparative mode in which each domain will ultimately be blended. Perhaps, in the case of song, the analyst wants to focus on aspects of each domain that denote aspects of emotion. The music may feature extensive falling minor seconds and a descending lament bass, while the text contains heavily laden words like sorrow and despair. By narrowing the parameters of investigation in each domain, a specific analysis of sorrow and lament can unite the domains, illustrating how they relate in the context of the song. For the analysis of video and film, this metaphorical mapping is a good start, but most multimedia compositions involve not two domains, but three. The added visual domain complicates the map since it typically cannot accommodate a third input space. Interestingly, Fauconnier and Turner, the original creators of cross-domain maps, never limit the amount of input spaces in their model, yet they never utilize more than two. Therefore, a model that includes a third input space is vital if a successful application of this methodology to video analysis is to be achieved. Thus, the model for interpreting musical multimedia, or MIM for short, is a tripartite cousin of the typically binary cross-domain map. In addition to a third input space, this new model does away with the generic space. After all, the generic space is simply a means to focus the comparison between domains, and the object of analysis often influences that area of focus. Instead, the MIM allows for a single domain to function as a focusing domain. That domain and the denotative meanings discovered within will act as a guide in the eventual blending of the domains. This also gives the model some flexibility, as the focusing domain may shift to another domain, perhaps highlighting a slightly different interpretation of the work. Indeed, the goal of such an analysis is not a single, all-encompassing interpretation of a work, but a series of possible interpretations appropriate to compositions that often defy a simple explanation. Apart from these differences, the model behaves similarly to a typical cross-domain map. Surface-level details of the work are mapped on the outside of the model, and denotational meanings, or first-order meanings, removed from any connotational influences and, as much as possible, removed from the influence of the other domains, are placed in each domain's input space. Just as a binary cross-domain map would examine features in each domain that are outlined in the generic space, ignoring any extra domain influence, the MIM initially isolates each domain. Then the focusing domain guides the final blending, allowing the denotational meanings to interact and blend into an interpretation. Features in each domain are then compared to each other, allowing similarities, and more importantly, differences, to interact and create an interpretation. The process can then be repeated by simply shifting the focusing domain to another domain. Of course, the context of the work itself will often suggest a preference for one domain over the others to act as this focusing domain. This model then will serve as a guide in the exploration of a scene from the film Nikkoi Katsi. Nikkoi Katsi, produced 14 years after the first two films Koyaanisqatsi Katsi and Powakatsi, stand apart from its predecessors for several reasons. Its chronological distance from the first two films not only separates it, but advances in filmmaking technology also give this film a unique look. Combined with this new look is Philip Glass's score for the film, which departs from the music of the first two films by featuring a solo cello throughout, performed by Yo-Yo Ma. As a whole, these films are also unusual, as none have spoken dialogue. Only Reggio's images and suggestive titles in Glass's music. Nikkoi Katsi consists of 11 somewhat independent scenes, each with a different take on technology and its ever-increasing role in everyday life. In fact, a large component of all three films is how technology has changed our lives, for better or for worse. The scene titled Primacy of Number is particularly interesting in its overt imagery of both technology and war, which, if you recall Reggio's description of the film's title, is a main subject of this final film. The scene also acts as a microcosm for the entire film, featuring many of the same musical and visual devices that appear in other movements. Philip Glass's musical score for Nikkoi Katsi is in ternary form. Each section has several distinct features which are all included on a chart of the formal divisions in Figure 1. Of particular interest is the apparent conflict between the bipartite key scheme and the tripartite formal division. During the A sections, a compositional technique known as a subtractive process is introduced. Shown in Example 1, this is the first clearly noticeable use of the technique in this scene. This is a process by which a melody is repeated, but on each repeat, a portion of the melody is removed. Besides the subtraction in the melody, which is clearly one note shorter on each repetition of the pattern, a bass note below the melody accentuates and highlights the subtraction as a salient musical device. The subtractive rhythmic pattern created, 4 to 3, then 2, is heard throughout the entire movement as a central motivic gesture. Example 2 provides another example of the pattern, this one actually occurring before the music from Example 1. Yet this example lacks the consistency in pitch material during the subtractive process, with pitch classes G and D moving to A and C sharp respectively during the first repetition, and the reinforcing bass line. Therefore, a listener not yet aware of the subtractive process may miss this more subtle example. However, the same 4 to 3 to 2 subtraction pattern is present. In fact, from the very beginning of the scene, accents which divide the 4/4 measure into groups of 3 to 3 to 2 over a steady ostinato of eighth notes already begin to suggest the melodic subtractive process to come. This section also features larger metrical groupings of 4 beats with simple subdivisions. There are, of course, times when other metrical divisions are heard, as shown above, but the quadruple divisions are the most common. Let's listen and watch a clip from the opening of the scene. At first, you'll hear the percussive ostinato that subdivides the measures into 3 plus 3 plus 2. This eventually leads to the melodic pattern shown in example 2. Note that to make the 4 plus 3 plus 2 pattern fit, the initiating note of the group of 4 acts as a pickup to the next bar. Glass switches to an irregular meter for the music heard later and seen in example 1. The entrance of the solo cello marks the beginning of the B section. As I mentioned before, the prominent use of a solo instrument throughout the film is a departure from the musical texture of the previous films in the trilogy. Example 3 presents a small excerpt from the cello solo. While the cello is heard in a duple meter, the underlying rhythmic pulse clearly establishes the primary beat groupings as 3, the cello heard as hemiola. Later, as shown in example 4, the meter flips, this time with the primary beat groupings of 2 and the cello sounding a compound subdivision of the beat. In both cases, metrical groupings of 3 play a prominent role. This is in contrast to the primarily quadruple groupings seen from section A. Also, the A section's subtractive process is absent, replaced by the metrical dissonance of 2 against 3 or 3 against 2. Let's listen and watch a short clip from the B section. We'll first hear the end of the solo cello from example 3, and then after a short transition, the triplets from example 4. The short A section reprises some of the music from the first section, primarily the music seen in example 2. Of interest, however, is the return of a simple subdivision of the beat. While most of the B section features the emphasis on a 2 against 3 metrical dissonance, the return of simple subdivisions of the beat creates an even larger 3 against 4 metrical dissonance between sections of the form, kind of a meta metrical dissonance to mirror the direct metrical dissonance from the B section. Harmonically, the music is quite simple. The movement begins centered around the diatonic collection of G minor. A little over halfway through, the pitch collection shifts to C minor. As mentioned previously, the shift does not correspond with the ternary form of the movement, instead changing midway through the B section. A possible reason for this incongruity is addressed later in this talk. While the use of the subtractive pattern is itself intriguing, Glass creates a larger organic connection through the expansion of the 4 to 3 to 2 pattern into the formal design of the movement. As can be seen in the summary of the form in Figure 1, the metrical groupings in each part, 4 to 3 and back to 4, is reminiscent of the subtractive pattern introduced at the beginning of the scene. The smaller pattern then presents itself at a larger level of form, creating a situation where the structure is recursive on different musical levels. This feature of music, often seen in common practice compositions where the structural background manifests itself in foreground features, is rarely seen in minimal music. Its use here may indicate a subtle projection of meaning, that local actions, the subtractive pattern, can affect global consequences, or the overall form. Or to borrow from what Reggio has said about the meaning of war in the context of the film, that war is not only a conflict between opposing forces, but possibly a manifestation of a personal, more local struggle. Moving on to the visual domain of the scene, all of the images in Primacy of Number come from either stock film footage or are generated with computer graphics. Figure 2 illustrates how the sequence of image types divides the movement into three unique sections that essentially correspond to the music's ternary form. Images that deal with technology and numbers, primarily the binary digits 0 and 1, those that deal with the war and mathematical equations, and a final section that returns to binary numbers and fractal imagery. The one discrepancy occurs when the images of mathematical equations appear about 30 seconds before the music transitions into the B material, which is the cello solo. As was seen in the first video clip, the scene opens with many little white lights racing towards the camera. Soon a large number 0 enters the frame from behind the camera, and as it moves into the background, the screen is filled with more and more tiny white lights until the screen becomes solidly white. When this fades, we are left with a moving field of zeros and ones, the binary digits that dominate the first part of the movement. The next substantive visual change introduces images of marching soldiers. This roughly corresponds to the musical change in the B section. These images are manipulated from their original source material in several ways, however. At first, a group of formally dressed military cadets are shown with the video's brightness increased, which overly emphasizes the soldiers' white pants and also imbues them with an aura, an almost heavenly glow. This is followed by a group of less formally dressed military, likely the army of some communist nation, but this time the colors have been inverted, such that the video resembles the negative image of a traditional photograph. For both sets of clips, time has been slowed significantly, almost as if Reggio wanted the soldiers to march in time with the hypermetrical structure of the music. This effect can be seen in the second video clip shown earlier. A byproduct of this slowing down is the added emphasis it gives the soldiers by requiring the viewer to examine the details in each step. Shortly after the marching soldiers, numbers make a brief return, but this time in the context of those complex mathematical equations scribbled on a chalkboard. Ultimately, after more scenes of soldiers training and an actual combat, the scene gives way to images of Albert Einstein and other 20th century scientists, subjected to the same negative techniques mentioned above. While the initial groups of military personnel would have been easily distinguishable without any video alterations, the visual effects further separate the two groups, giving preference to the cadets and the heavenly glow caused by the increased brightness. The use of the negative effect also links the Red Army to another image displayed in a similar way, that of Albert Einstein. Of course, it was Einstein's equations that were partly responsible for the development of the atomic bomb. Portraying both the Army and Einstein in a similar manner may represent a link between the two. Another visual item to consider is the abrupt transition from soldiers in training to scenes from actual combat operations, which occurs precisely as the music shifts to C minor. The effective difference of the images is striking. The first images of the marching cadets are heavily coated with ceremonial qualities. The soldiers are dressed in traditional uniforms and march in formation. Even the contrasting communist soldiers are still presented as if marching in a ceremony or parade. Further images of soldiers training are still markers of practice. The battle images, however, have a real sense of danger and urgency. The people depicted are actively engaged in wartime activities, causing a rift between these depictions and the civilities of the former soldiers. The last set of images returns to both binary numbers and a new, never-ending descent into a fractal image, clearly seen in the third clip played earlier. Fractals are mathematical constructs that are self-similar at all scales. This particular fractal, known as a Mandelbrot set, could be zoomed indefinitely, and the resulting shapes would be similar to the features seen at previous levels. In addition to the fractal, this last section provides more images of real-world usefulness of binary numbers, including weather models and computer keyboards. With the video and music addressed, this leaves the third part of the model, the text or narrative of the composition. As I mentioned previously, there is no spoken dialogue or text presented during the course of the entire film. To examine the narrative, then, we must rely on the title of the movement, Primacy of Number, and the overall topic of the film as described by Reggio, civilized violence, both personal struggles and battles against opposing forces. We can now return to the model as a means of interpreting this scene. To begin, let's focus on the fractal imagery in the last part of the ternary form. Thus, the visual domain will act as our focusing domain. With this clear image of a recursive structure, an association is created with the similar structures found in the musical form, the subtractive pattern of 4 to 3 to 2, expanded onto the larger metrical groupings which help define the music's ternary form. A strong emphasis on recursion when viewed in the light of the narrative indicates that not only is war conceived as a dichotomy between personal and larger struggles, but that one is actually an outgrowth of the other. The relationship between different forms of violence is presented as a continuum. Another visual aspect to address is the difference between the images of war that Reggio juxtaposes. The fact that the pivotal switch between the ceremonial and the actual war images occurs precisely when the music shifts from G minor to C minor cannot be easily dismissed. Since the key area shift almost evenly splits the B section of the ternary form, the B section takes on the defining characteristics of what's called a chiasmus. Essentially splitting the middle B section, a chiasmus form transforms the initial A section into the A prime by means of some kind of reversal during the middle sections. The reversal in this case is the images of training becoming those of actual combat, which is accompanied by the shift in key area from G minor to C minor. The visual shift underscores the differences between simulated reality and reality itself, transforming the images of the final A prime section into those that are read as real-world technologies, as opposed to the abstract numbers seen before. Through this transformation, Reggio and Glass are likely positing that the fundamental aspects of technology, the binary code, the ones and zeros that lie at the heart of our digital world, are one of the root causes of conflict in our society. The other scenes in the film tend to focus on more specific manners in which technology affects modern existence, including movements that focus on consumerism, mass communication, and religion. For example, the movement titled Media Weather includes a rigidly conceived and constantly repeating ground bass that is only varied through slight changes in instrumentation. This is juxtaposed with various images related to mass media, including real, actual content, as well as the technology behind transmitting it. While the message there is powerful, that much of what we enjoy as consumers of media is so complicated that we no longer understand how it works, or even care to know how it works, as long as it keeps working. The music seems to focus purely on the never-ending stream of data that bombards us daily. Nikkoi Katsi as a whole embraces the role of technology and how it has shaped the way we now think about war at many levels. Primacy of Number is the most dynamic movement of the film in terms of the methods used to get this central point across. It uses multiple types of imagery and the musical devices to create a complex work that deals with the broad concept of war as a multi-leveled and nuanced subject. The model affords us the opportunity to explore those nuances without preferring one interpretation over another. Indeed, when confronted with often intentionally ambiguous works of multimedia, multiple interpretations are the only way to fully appreciate the subtleties contained within.